None of it. The 9/11 Commission report is a piece of trash. Zelikow is really let me finish my speech, and then you can talk. I don't need to have an advertisement. Let me first of all,
relax.
I'll take a polygraph for what I say. You don't have the first information. I do. I do. My stuff's first information. I'll take a polygraph. I was there. You weren't there. I had top secret clearance.
So is the President of the United States.
Why weren't you waiting listening? Where is this guy?
Curt Weldon is the primary source.
Get out! Get out!
I'm trying to give you the experience that I had as your representative in Congress, based on what I saw and what I knew. The Bush administration didn't want a commission. The Clinton administration didn't want a commission. They didn't want to know what happened. We in the Congress forced the commission. The commission was established. Now I'm a Republican. The Bush administration put Zelikow in charge of the commission. Do you know why they picked Zelikow? Does anyone know why? Do you know why?
It's Council on Foreign Relations.
Do you know why? Because Zelikow was Condoleezza Rice's best friend. And today's her business partner. They put Zelikow in to run the commission. The Democrats put Cheney Grolick in on the commission. The two of them ran the commission. Cheney Grolick was a lawyer for the Clinton administration who wrote the firewall memo. The firewall memo said that we could not transfer military intelligence to civilian law enforcement. The two of them ran the commission with a staffer named Dieter Snell. The commissioners had no clue. The commissioners were kept out of the picture. The commission document was done just to satisfy the people who were duped into believing that that was the ultimate answer of what occurred. When the commission report was issued, I went over to Lee Hamilton and Governor Keene, two good people. I said, Lee, I was at 9/11. I was there at the base of Tower, when we were building with the firefighters. We were looking for Ray Daly. His two sons are firefighters. I was with them. We didn't find Ray's body until 3 months later. I was there in 93. Why didn't you let me testify before the commission? He said, well, we didn't have time, Curt, to let you come in. I said, Lee, I was representing, they didn't want to hear. They didn't want the truth to be known of what occurred. And it gets worse than that. The American people, and I was at 9/11, on the day it happened. I was brought up by the fire department. I was at ground zero with the chief and with the line officers looking for firefighters. It was a total nightmare. And it was sickening. And I was there when George Bush got up on top and was waving his hand in the air saying, we're going to get you, Bin Laden. We're going to get you, come after you. I really believed that that was our story. But because of my committee assignment back in Congress, I had access to all the classified intelligence. And because I couldn't trust the CIA to give me the right data about what the emerging threats were that I had seen in previous situations like the China situation, which I'll show you later, or other foreign policy debacles. I have my own intel team. There's a group in Washington called the Cockroaches. They're a group of people, primarily veterans, who work in the intelligence agencies. The CIA, the NSA, the DIA. And they meet for dinner once a month, socially. They're very loyal and patriotic. They don't allow politics to enter into the picture of assessing threats. My staffers were ex-veterans, and they were tied in with the cockroaches. So I got to know them. So I said to them, can you give me raw data? Because I'm getting more information from defense reporters like Bill Gertz from the Washington Times, who comes to me for a story, and I said, Bill, where did you get that from? He said, well, I have this anonymous source. So I went to the Defense Department and the CIA, and I said, wait a minute. Why am I getting a writer for the Washington Times, Bill Gertz, a great guy, very strong defense writer, why is he giving me information that I'm supposed to be getting from you directly as a member of the Armed Services Committee, the vice chairman? I said, you're giving it to them. You're leaking information because you want a preset agenda. So They wouldn't answer it, and that's what they continued to do this day. So I formed this task force, and I met with them in the members' dining room at the Capitol once a week, unofficially, and they fed me raw data. 3 months after 9/11, as I'm supporting the president with his decision to go over to get Bin Laden in Afghanistan. We're about to send troops to Afghanistan. My friends in this task force come to me and said, Mr. Chairman, Bin Laden's been sighted in a town called Ladiz. I had no idea where Ladiz was. I went up to the bookstore up the street, and I bought this map. And I brought it back to my office. I opened it up, I looked all over the map, all over Afghanistan, I couldn't find Ladiz. I looked all over the map in Pakistan next door, I couldn't find Ladiz. I found Ladiz. 10 kilometers inside the border of Iran. I went to the next meeting of the Armed Services Committee. I'm the acting chairman. 60 members of Congress from both parties. I'm the chairman. CIA's in the witness table. It's closed to session, not open to the public. I said, I have information that Osama bin Laden has been cited in Ladiz. What's your response? Well, Mr. Chairman, we've heard similar reports. We can either confirm or deny it. Now, we're sending American kids to Afghanistan, and the CIA is telling me that they can't deny the fact that he may be not in Afghanistan, but maybe in a country like Iran. I'm incensed, but I'm still believing our president, my party, my president. I was worried about our troops, because when the Russians have been in Afghanistan, the Russian tribes took on the Russian military and caused harm. So I took a delegation over to Europe. The king of Afghanistan, Zahir Shah, was living in exile with his family. And I made arrangements to meet with him privately. 4 of us went over there. I have the photographs. We met with him in his brother's home. He was probably in his 70s. And I said, King Zahir Shah, we want to come into your country with our troops, but we don't want your tribal leaders to attack our troops. Will you go back to Kabul and convene what's called a Loya Georgia of all the tribal leaders and tell them to accept our troops and not to harm them? And he said, yes, I'll do that, Congressman. King Zahir Shah went back to Afghanistan. He convened all the tribal leaders as we began to send more and more troops to Afghanistan. And the fighting started to erupt there. 3 months after that, I get another request or another information session from my intel team. Mr. Chairman, we've got more information about Bin Laden. He's being treated at a military hospital outside of Tehran, in Iran. Outside of Tehran, Iran. I go back to the classified briefing. Again, there's no public allowed. 60 members of Congress from both parties. And I asked the question of the CIA. I have information that Bin Laden is now being treated at a military hospital in Tehran. And their response was the same as the first. Mr. Chairman, we've had similar reports. We can either confirm or deny them. That was the second time that I now have questions about, is Bin Laden really in Afghanistan, or are we sending our kids over there to fight and look for someone who's not there, and we know he's not there? Then a couple of strange things occurred. And by the way, I will take a polygraph. As I said on Tucker Carlson's show, I've done 14 podcasts, 20 million views. And I said publicly, I'll take a polygraph. And I will on everything I'm telling you. A polygraph. I get a call from Jack Murphy, the most respected Democrat from Pennsylvania, from Pittsburgh, former Marine, Chairman of Defense Appropriations. Jack sent Ron Klink over to my office. Ron was a KDK reporter from Pittsburgh who was in Congress from Pittsburgh. The two of them worked together. And Jack said, Curt, will you meet with Ron? He's got information about Iran. I said, sure, Jack, send him over. So Ron Klink comes to my office and he brings a 6'3" guy with him. I don't know the man. It's a friend of Ron Klink's. Ron Klink's still alive. Bertha died, but Klink will verify the story. Ron Klink says to me, Curt, we need your help. I said, what's up, Ron? we got information about Iran. I said, well, I'm very concerned about what's going on with Afghanistan right now. He said, no, this is more important. He said, my friend here wants to ask you to help him. He wants to go to Iran. So I listened to this guy. I said, what can I help you? What do you want? He said, well, Mr. Chairman, I was a knock. A knock is a non-official command employee of the CIA. The CIA employs thousands of people that they won't take responsibility for if they're caught. They're called knocks. They pay them, they give them benefits, but the understanding is you get caught doing what you're doing, you don't work for us. This guy was a knock. And he said, when I was working for the agency, I was assigned to work in Iran. And my friends in Iran are seeing bin Laden in Iran. And there's a $25 million reward for the arrest and capture of Osama bin Laden. If you help me get into Tehran, I'll leave my identity at the hotel, and I'll go out and I'll track him down and I'll bring him back dead or alive for the Americans to deal with. At the time I was in a battle with the CIA. I said, I can't help you, I'm sorry. A month after that, I get a call from the Interior Department. The Department of Interior oversees all of our wildlands, our forests, and they want to bring in their top bird expert. Now that wasn't unusual because I was on the Migratory Bird Commission. There's a federal agency in Washington which has 2 members of Congress, 2 senators, and 3 cabinet members that oversee the wildlife refuges nationwide. I was the Republican from the House. John Dingell was a Democrat. So I figured they want to bring this bird expert in to talk to me about birds. Birds like at wildlife refuges. So I said, okay, bring the person in. He brings in a guy from Maine, a U.S. citizen, who has 2 falcons on his shoulders. They have the blinders on their eyes. They're beautiful birds, $1 million birds. I'd never seen one up close. And he said, Congressman Weldon, I've devoted my whole life to falcons. He said, I come from a wealthy family. I helped the UN write the Falcon treaties. And I trained the children of the royal families in the Middle East on the sport of falconry. The sport of the Middle East royal families is to use falcons for hunting. And he said, I was the one that trained them, and they trust me. I said, okay, that's nice. What do you want me to do to help you with falcons? He